Limit bouldering is all about finding that line that divides what you can do and what you can't do. I'm Chris Hampton, owner and head coach at Power Company Climbing. We're here in the engine room to talk about one of the more nebulous of training activities. Limit bouldering, also known as max bouldering, is the best way to take your bouldering ability to the next level. Limit bouldering can be a tough workout to connect with successfully. I know many of my clients, as well as myself, have a hard time finding moves and sequences at the right difficulty, get frustrated, and then feel like they've wasted entire sessions. Because of the absolutely subjective nature of bouldering and its grades, finding your personal limits can be tough, but it helps to stick to a few basic rules. So when you're ready to begin your limit bouldering session, you want to make sure that you're fully warmed up. I know I said this before, but it's very, very common to try and warm up, think that you're there, and then when you go to actually pull on really bad holds or really hard moves, you're not quite ready. So if you stop your warm-ups, say 3 grades below your top level, you're not going to be ready to try really hard. So if you're climbing V8, you want your last warm-up or 2 to be maybe just an attempt at a V7. So you want to keep your limit bouldering to 5 moves or less. If you're doing more than that, then it's not hard enough for you to be at full recruitment, full power. And that's one of the toughest things to get used to when you're limit bouldering, is you're not out to try and send boulder problems. You're there to try just the hardest sequences, just the hardest moves. And if you get trapped and wrapped up in trying to send, then you're just wasting energy on the parts that you can already do, and that you can do them fairly easily, but you might fall at the top because you're tired from the hard moves, and we don't want to waste that energy. When you're limit bouldering, you want to use every advantage possible, and that could mean using power spots, having friends to help you on moves that you can't quite find the body positioning or the line to move through space. That could mean using better holds or better feet to first learn the basics of the move. For instance, if you're, say your move is to here or from here, maybe you try the move using this much better hold first, and once you dial that in, then you can move up to the worst hold. One of the most important aspects of limit bouldering is that after you try a move, you spend some time reflecting on that move. It might be that the move isn't working because you're not staying tight through your core. Maybe your foot position's wrong. Maybe your path through space isn't right. You need to sit down and really break that movement down into its little parts. Take a flip book, for example. A flip book is made up of a whole bunch of small pieces that when it moves quickly, it becomes one whole, and you want your move to be like that. The move can be made up of pushing from your foot or pulling through a heel, and then your body moves through space and you tighten your core, and you're pulling down with your low hand and reaching with your high hand, and at the same time as you hit with your high hand, you have to tighten your core again or keep your core tight through the whole move. So you have to master all of those little pieces, and breaking it down into those little pieces and trying those individually helps quite a bit with learning the move as a whole. And don't overlook the tiny things. It could be something as small as the way your fingers settle on the hold, the position of your thumb. It could be something just as small as the way that you turn your toe when you step onto a foothold, or the way that your hips shift. So every piece of micro beta is something important that you can learn. One of the most common ways for people to sabotage their own limit bouldering sessions is to not rest nearly enough. And I have this problem, most of the people I know have this problem, but you need to take lots of rest in between every really hard attempt. There is no set time that you should rest. It really depends on how much energy you've put out. If you just tried 3 really hard moves in a row, maybe you need to rest 3 minutes. If you can't get your butt off the ground yet and you're just figuring out the body position, maybe you only need 30 seconds of rest. What's important is that every attempt is at as close to 100% as you can be. It can be extremely helpful before you make another attempt on your problem to sit back and visualize yourself doing the sequence. I often like to even lay down, pantomime the moves, including the body positions and the foot movements. No matter how psyched you are on any specific problem, you don't want to spend more than about 15 or 20 minutes on that problem or a sequence or any specific move. It's really better to switch up the angles, the grip types, and the types of movement that you're doing every 15 minutes or so. That'll leave less room for injury, and you'll make better gains in the process. It's important that you have a general gauge for when to stop. Limit bouldering needs to be cut off when you reach about 85% of your strength or coordination. I like to have a hold or a move that represents that level specific to what I'm working on. When I feel like I'm starting to go downhill, I'll go back to that hold or back to that move and see how it feels. If it doesn't feel as easy as it did, then I cut it off and end the session. If you've hit a plateau in your climbing, I encourage you to apply these practices to your next limit bouldering session.